I have the opportunity to sit down with different people and talk to them about a time that they said yes to God. But sometimes the things that they say in that very moment don't really hit me hard until I go back and I listen to the audio while editing. And it's very important to me that whatever reason that you have today for clicking on this podcast, you get what you need. And that is my prayer, that you get exactly what you need from God from clicking on this today. I pray that God has downloaded Jeremy Powers with some amazing wisdom specifically for this moment for you. Let's get into it. Welcome back to another episode of the Pathway to Purpose podcast. I got my boy Jeremy Powers here. What's going on, man?
Oh man, just living the dream, baby. That's what we're supposed to say, right?
That's what we practice, right?
That's it. Everybody's supposed to be living the dream. I always jokingly tell everyone, I don't know if it's a nightmare yet, but it's a dream. You know, a dream is a dream. But
exactly.
Yeah, we're blessed, man. We're just having a good time.
Let's go. So I have a question, and I think that I'm right about this. But you're a fan of The Office?
Oh yeah,
the show.
Oh yeah.
Is it like your favorite show, or like what is your favorite show?
You know, I will be completely transparent with you. People pick on me for this. I don't watch TV at all.
Okay.
I watch sports events, things like that, but I have The Office is one of the only episodes I've seen all the way through. That, Friends, Parks, Rec. Those are three, and I love it. I just get way too emotionally attached to where like something bad's about to happen or something funny's about to happen and I can't even watch because I'm like in that moment having like a panic attack for the fake scene that's happening, you know? So for me, I just said, listen, I'm just going to focus on leadership, books, things that'll grow my knowledge. I'm not going to be stressed about fake stuff.
Listen, strong vulnerability. If I watch a show and it makes me cry, like it's a good show. Flashpoint, Blacklist, like all those shows that did, I'm just like crying.
Man. I remember I watched a little bit of Blacklist. Like it was like one of the final episodes of that first season where they were like breaking into their bunker. I was like, this is the most intense thing I've ever seen in my life. Like it was very good. I don't know how it's going from there because I haven't really watched TV. So, but I remember seeing that episode one day. It was
such a good show. So like season 10 now.
That's great. That's awesome, man.
But yeah, The Office, man, that's one of my favorite shows. Actually, I was at the gas station. I had on a Dunder Mifflin shirt, and I got out, and this lady said, "You watch The Office?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said she got the sweatpants, she got the blanket, she has everything. I'm like, actually, you're a real fan.
I mean, really, I tell you what, I don't have any of the swag. I mean, we've got, I've got maybe. I think my children have got me some socks.
There you go.
I've got some cool Office socks.
There you go.
You know, makes a good conversation.
Yeah. So, big question for the podcast: can you tell us about the time that you said yes to God?
Absolutely. I would say that for me, the big yes to God was actually at a really opportune time in my life. It was at the end of 2019. Won't go into too much detail unless it gets there, but I was in a spot in life where, I was really trusting God. I had been obedient to Him. I was at that time a single dad of two girls. And man, we were just holding on and being obedient and trusting the Lord. But we had found a great community at our church that we had been at for a long season where I gave my life to Christ at. I'll say it was New Spring. And then God called us back to New Spring. And man, I just had some of the greatest men that I had a chance to lead their father. Their fathers were my friends, but I had a chance to lead their kids. And man, it was such an amazing thing through the student ministry there. But they were pouring into me during that season of my life. And so I really felt called to be there. But then in a moment's time, God called me to a small local church near my home. And it was very confusing. It was like, why? I'll be honest, transparent with you. I was like, there's a lot more women at this church for me to potentially meet who know the kind of man I am. Yeah. Lord, why would you want to do this to me? And then I have so much favor. I have so much friends. I have, I'm a part of X team and this, that, and the other. Like, why would you take me away from a place that I feel like you've called me to be? But He was really pulling me to a small local church near my home called Decided Church. That He could have called me to because I've known it ever since He had started in someone's bedroom. Wow. I had known it the entire 7-8 years up until that point in time, but God called me there, and it wasn't easy, but I listened, and it was so funny because I know He had to be in heaven just laughing, saying, "Jeremy, if you just listen to me," because I met my wife there. Yeah, she was my girls' Sunday school teacher, and so what a great way for that. I preached 2 times this year, preached last year. Like God has just given me so much favor to be, just to have the best community. We have an amazing pastor. I would consider him one of my best friends, a great community of people that God has put around me. And it just really took trusting God and then having to explain to a lot of my clients and or church friends that hey, I'm not leaving the church because I don't like you or you guys did anything wrong. It's just that God is calling me to do something for the Big C church in this moment.
Yeah.
I know we get so honed in on our little church, where we go and this, that, and the other. But the thing is, God's about the Big C church. It's not going to be segregated, this church and that church and this church and that church in heaven. And so God was calling me to step away and do something for the church as a whole. And man, he's really blessed that through obedience. And I'm just ever grateful and thankful to him that he number one, saved my soul, but then number two, that he would continuously cause me to be a risk taker. I really like that.
There is so much to unpack here. Like from the start, you talked about, you were in a really deep place in your life, and you were kind of like told to go backwards, right? And we want God to take us forward all the time. And so we feel like we're going backwards, we kind of feel like it's wrong. And even going back, like, big thing, church, like leaving a church for some people is very difficult. But if God wants you to leave, then you gotta go.
That's it.
Yeah. Like it is. I feel like, at least for me, right? I've had a lot of problems where I don't want to hurt other people's feelings. Like like you said, it's not them. This is what God told me to do. But it's difficult to separate the humanly feeling of wanting to appease everybody. When you hear a word from God, you have to carry out that. Absolutely.
And I just try to look at it in a biblical sense. There were so many times that, families had to pick up and just move.
Yeah.
Luckily, I didn't have to pick up and move, like in a moment's notice. It was just God was calling me to focus, to hone in, and to be able to, once again, be in a position where, there will be things that, God's able to use me for there, and he's able to humiliate me sometimes. It's where I'll say something and then I'll get to hear it on a stage land, and God will clearly tell me, like, don't get upset. I don't need you. Like, your job is to love the people around you. Your job is to be poured into and to pour out. But what's said and what's known, you didn't come up with any of it. It's not authentic to you. It's mine. And so I think that it's been so incredible, the favor that he's given me there to be in these closed circles to where, to where we're really pouring into each other, but then to hear something like that come from a stage and just have the thankfulness in my heart to say, hey, God, you don't need me, but yet you still use me. It's just really, really incredible.
Yeah, because we're not worthy.
That's it.
We're not worthy of anything. It's a hard thing to come to sometimes, but when you realize it, like it's so beautiful. You talked about being a single father. Can you talk about that? Because you don't see a lot of single fathers out there. You see mostly single mothers and stuff. So,
I fully believe that, God used it. And man, I'm so thankful. And I'll say at this moment for my ex-spouse, she created a path for me years ago to meet Christ. I had to, and so she was, I wish her all the best. And, there were some things that happened to where, I just remember ultimately fighting for it until the point where it just wasn't possible anymore. Like it wasn't, something God called me to be obedient. And I remember just really being obedient to that and just fighting for it. But it came to the point where it was, I don't want forgiveness. I just want out. And, at some point in time, you have to get to a point, like my counselor told me, you just have to let go. And if God's called it back, he'll bring it back. And so that wasn't our path forward, and so it was difficult. I will say that you ever want to doubt yourself, you allow someone to hold the seat that God should hold in your heart.
Yeah.
We're called to love God first. Our family is a very close second, but it's still, in closeness, we're talking eternity years. And so it's still far away. And so, I think that I idolized, growing up without a father, growing up, just in situations to where, I always said, man, I want my kids to have they're never going to experience what I experienced. Well, ultimately, I'm not in control of that, but I am in control of how I allow God to use me through that. And, going into situations where you're a father, you've got, the custodial rights to your children, as you'll say, and and filling out forms and there's no name for dad, there's only a name for mom. Man, it was hard sometimes. You know, it really was like so many situations. I was like, wow, man. But what God's done for me is He knows that I have a voice and I'm not scared to talk, and I talk more than I should. But He's using that, because I would tell you that what has happened to me is happening so often.
Yeah.
It's not, I guess it used to always be the guys, and I'm not saying that there aren't bad guys out there, there aren't bad ladies. I think we're all just dysfunctional, unfortunately, in the world. We live in a world that is literally knows how to manipulate our mind. It knows how to come after it. And unfortunately, I mean, we need Jesus more than we ever, and not that we haven't needed Him forever, but we need Him right now, because the enemy has learned through technology and all these different things just to really how to pinpoint with accuracy and just to literally just keep going at that one spot until it breaks. Because he knows if he gets that one spot, if he just gets in there, well, eventually it's all going to crumble.
Yeah.
You know, and so for me, just being around these men who are going through this, and God just so happens to cross our path, and I'm not scared to talk about my shortcomings, because I took that as an example of God growing me through this.
Yeah.
You know, it went from a bitterness to a open wound that I had to allow God to heal. And whenever it was healed, that's when He called me to a different church. So it was through being willing to be vulnerable and say, hey, there's more to this. You know, if I'm still breathing, God's not done. And I've got these two beautiful children that we've got to learn to co-parent and all this stuff. And I don't want them to experience, once again, I don't want them to experience what I experienced. And so I want them to have two parents. I want them to have life to the fullest, you know, what we expect for all of our children. And so, you know, it was a season, man, but I'll tell you right now, God has just blessed it beyond my wildest dreams. And I'm telling you, the one thing that I always stand to is just obedience. It's if you can be obedient, even when you don't know what else to be, you just be obedient and God's going to see you through it. Yeah. It really is.
I don't know if you know this, but I'm divorced.
Okay.
And like it was a super, super crazy part in my life. I mean, I didn't, when we decided to separate, I didn't really fight it, right? And maybe I was wrong, I don't know, but I know that the situation I was in, whatever it was gonna make me stronger. And like from that point, I was excited because I felt like I had learned so much. I was very sad, but I was excited because I learned so much to be a better man for my next wife. You know, I can look back now and say that I wasn't the best husband, and there are so many things that I could have changed, but I wouldn't change any of them. You know, because if I changed it, I wouldn't have. I mean, how do I say this? We can go into marriage and we can believe that we know everything, but you're just going. You're learning as you go. And if it fails, it's okay. Obviously, God doesn't want us to get divorced, but when you learn something from it and you can go into the next marriage and like you said, put God first over anything, it'll be better.
Absolutely. I mean, I think my goal is to, you know, and not saying anything against where you're coming from, but, you know, for me, it was just that, you know, I made a commitment to this and I fought until the fight couldn't make it anymore, you know, and just for me, it was just, you know, I think that we've got to, it's so easy in our world to just want the shiny new toy or to want the new, or to say, hey, this just doesn't fit me anymore. Because in every aspect of life, when your camera right here in front of me, when 2 more models come out, you're going to say, man, this thing that I was dreaming of owning just 2 models ago, it just doesn't look as pretty anymore. You know, and guys, life happens, you know, and we all go through things and, you know, and things happen. And I just think that you've got to own when God blesses you with a gift, whether that is the camera through the finances to afford it, or whether that's through a spouse or with a child, is our job to steward that, you know? And so for me, you know, my thing is if you're going through it right now, the best piece of advice that I can give you is you can't change someone else, but you can change you. You can change your heart. You can change your posture. You can grow, and you can just ask yourself, how can I serve better? And if you just focus on having that heart of Jesus. Yesterday when I was up at our church, we were speaking about communion. You know, right before Jesus breaks the bread and pours the wine and tries to explain to them what he's about to endure, it says that he wanted to eat, but he couldn't. He did it because he wasn't able to. And so just imagine being hungry being at what is a buffet to celebrate. You can think about it, it's just Palm Sunday where you're just celebrating. I mean, at the end of the day, like if anyone should be eating, it's you.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're hungry. And then that never appealed to me until yesterday when I was up there and getting ready to read that. And I was like, look at this sacrifice that he's making in so many spots that I never even noticed. Like sacrifice is sacrifice for you, but I might not even notice it.
Yeah.
And so if we can focus on what we notice, our own sacrifice, and we can continuously do that, we're going to, whether it fails or whether it wins, if we can focus on being sacrificial, trying to be Christ to the church, then man, we're gonna end up on the better side of it, no matter which way it goes.
That's good. That's good stuff. So you're in this new church. You've been there for a while now.
Yeah, since just Christmas Eve of New Year's Eve of 2019. God called me there, and I stood up and spoke something because they didn't have a paid pastor yet.
Okay.
And so they were talking about the goals they had for their church and all these things that they had planned, and and God really put on my heart, without a shepherd, I can't give you more sheep.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But they had been working so hard to get there. Man, they did it the right way. They did it the absolute right way. But we had just taken over another Allstate agency at that time. This is back when I used to work for Allstate. We had 2 locations, but we didn't have the manpower. And what I stood up and said was, it doesn't matter how good you are, if you can't keep up, you suck. And in the church, that can't happen.
Yeah.
Because if people are coming in and leaving, and they had an opportunity and they missed it, then that is a bigger thing than someone walking to my agency and someone not being able to help them. That's just insurance. You know what I mean? But we're talking about way more important. We're talking about lives. And so I really stood up and called them into a paid pastor. And so that next year, paid pastor, they went, made it happen. And then, our foundational theme for 2021 was called Founded. And I said, that means we're going to get a new foundation. And man, if in 2021 we closed on a piece of land.
Hey.
And it's just been, I'm like, the next one is, going to be 10 million people for Christ, like whatever I can call out, you know what I mean? I'm just playing, but just God has just really used things that I've been through. Once again, that thing that I learned when we were at taking on those 2 locations, it wasn't fun. We learned that we sucked.
Wow.
We learned that it didn't matter if, we've been blessed with all these awards, this, that, and the other. If you can't keep up, you suck.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, but through that suck, we learned something. And that is the power. It doesn't matter if you fail. It matters what you learn from the failure. We're going to fail. Like, it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when, but what are you going to do with it? I don't care if you make a mistake. I want to know how you respond. And that is what I feel like being in a church like this has given us the opportunity to do. I've been humbled many a times. And you can see the movement. You can see God just moving, and it's just a beautiful thing when it's the obedience and the posture is turned towards them.
Wow. And there's also people who are afraid to, because like you said, you're going to fail. It happens, what you do with it. But sometimes it's hard for people to take that step to even put themselves out there into something new or something familiar, really, because they could possibly fail. You know?
I mean, I have the best wife that literally, like, one of my friends used to say, Jeremy, you didn't do anything wrong, so you literally know what you won't settle for, and you get a second chance. And I used to always say, man, I didn't care. At that point, back then, I was like, whatever, I just felt broken. But ultimately, through allowing myself to be an open wound, allowing myself not to chase, I've got a friend going through it right now, and he just wants a relationship. And I'm like, man, you need to find a relationship with the Lord. Yeah. Because if you don't set your foundation in something stable, it's all going to come apart again.
Exactly.
And so just so thankful that I was founded in God and I gave to Him. Not saying I'm perfect in any way, shape, or form, but man, He has blessed me with the best spouse, the best supporter, the best friend, and that is just, man, I'm telling you, a supportive, strong spouse is probably the greatest thing that you could ever have.
That's good.
I mean, it is so amazing what that empowers you to do. And I'm not saying to be sad in singleness and say, oh, that means I need to go find that person. Let it be Jesus. Let it be scripture. Let it be biblical. Let it be all of that while it is. But when God gives you someone, then you need to understand that you're supposed to love them like Christ loves the church.
That's right.
And even on their bad days. But man, whenever those 2 plants come together and you do you do mesh. Wow, it's just, man, I tell you, I feel like I can charge hell with a water pistol most days. It could be empty and I'm still going to come out victorious. So it's a good thing, man. It really is.
That's funny. I've spent some time like the last year and a half focusing on God, and I'll be lying if I said that immediately my first thing that I thought was go find somebody to be with. And it wasn't like be with, like have sex. Like I was just going to just talk to some girls. Like I wanted that companionship. It was hard going from every day my wife was there to just being alone. So I went straight to go and find some girls. And I thought that it was like 2. It ended up being 4 when I went back and counted. And all of them shot me down. Like straight shot me down. And because I had never asked out a girl ever.
Yeah.
Like ever in my life. Not even my wife. That just kind of happened because we were around each other for years. But you know, I asked out 4 girls, and it was definitely God just keeping me safe. Because I just want to hang out. You know, I don't know what I would have done. I don't know what I would have done.
Sure.
You know?
Hey, well, that's the thing. So, man, you look at from Bible beginning days to now, that's one of the biggest things for a man. We just got to be smart. Women are attractive, man. It's just something about it. It's just fine. It's not fair. Yeah, it's just not fair. There should be like we should have a switch or something that we could be like, you know, they've got all these filters now and all this stuff. We need something for us as men that we could be like, hey, think with the right head. You know what I mean? Think right, think correct. Because I'm telling you, it's not a now problem. Now we objectify and we look at, unfortunately, through our world and pornography and all these different things, the love is not love anymore. Yeah. Everything's about, like, there's a book by Levi Lusko called it's called like Swipe Right or something like that. And that's that whole, thank God I was not in relational phase during this whole swiping phase. Your boy would probably have 83 offspring. You know what I'm saying? Back when I'm just saying, thank the Lord, he knew what he was doing when he took me out and then brought me back. Because when I wasn't living for the Lord, I was living for today. You know, and so at the end of the thing for me, like, it's crazy what the youth or just what people in general are up against today. How much harder is it when the day before you know Jesus, how much harder is it to say, I'm going to follow this guy versus everything the world is throwing at you right here, right now. Yeah. And man, the enemy does not come dressed up as your worst enemy. He comes dressed up as exactly what you want and telling you everything you want to hear. And Jesus trying to lay it to you straight. Yeah. And I mean, how many times do we listen to our parents versus listening to our friends? You know what I mean? Like, it's hard right now. And so that's why I just thank Jesus. I'm there all the time just driving home and I'm just like, wow, how in the heck did I get saved? Like, how? Like it couldn't have been me. I mean, I can't even like place my order correctly when I go somewhere, so it sure wasn't me. You know, but the fact that he saw fit to meet me where I was blows my mind.
I think about like how hard the devil will go after somebody when he knows that God has a strong purpose for their life. You know, we can get nonchalant and think that, you know, it's not a big battle. You know, he's not trying to mess with me, but he is. You know, and especially if you feel him coming hard, like you got to keep on pushing through because God has something better. Yeah, you know, you would have had the opportunities to preach as many times as you did, and just to spread the gospel if you gave in to whatever Satan had.
That's right, 100%.
I don't know. I want to go back to your because your yes was in that moment when you weren't doing well, and you went to another church. Went to 2 churches because you went back to New Spring. And
I want to speak on that for a moment because we live in a community where everyone's like, "Oh, let's just church hop. Something's not right. Let's church hop." Yeah. I'm not at all saying it should pain you that you're having to leave your church. It should not be like, man, you know, I want to dress this way and they dress that way, or they said this and, oh, I don't agree with that. We're not supposed to agree on everything. Guys, it's a bunch of broken people coming together in a building, so it's just a broken building. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, that's all it is going to be. And so don't look for perfect. If you find that, you need to run as far as you can. And so, you know, what I don't want it to be like is, oh, he went to another church and God blessed him. No, obedience. Yeah. Like, it was hard. I had to sit down with a man that I love and tell him, hey, I'm not coming to your church anymore. And try to help him understand it's nothing that you did. I'm not church hurt. I'm not upset because I didn't get to sit on the front row. Like, it's none of that stuff. It's like, I don't know why I'm telling you this. I have no clue what the future holds, but this is weird. Yeah. But the thing is that sometimes God's weird. Mm-hmm. Sometimes he does something that we don't see at all because he's an infinite God. And if our mind and our thoughts could ever be like his, that's whenever we would just pretty much instantly want to be done and be gone because we can't fathom the thoughts that he has. And so for me, my biggest thing to you is if that is something you're at right now, you're struggling, make sure it's not for you and make sure it's God calling you somewhere and not just your human flesh just saying, hey, I don't feel like I'm being appreciated for my gifting here. Yeah. Like, okay, well, good that you're not being appreciated for your gifting because it's about Jesus anyway. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and step up and serve.
That's one thing that I see a lot is, somebody wants to be in a specific spot, mm-hmm. Where they think is their gift. And you may be holding the spot for somebody else that's supposed to be there when you're supposed to be in, the kids section or something. Mm-hmm. Like you're supposed to be singing or something, But, you want things to be your way. And you keep jumping around over and over again, waiting for that church to come that'll finally let you do whatever you want.
That's right.
Yeah, whether it's get up on stage and preach, you're not supposed to be preaching. Whether it's like, let's be honest, some people just shouldn't be on the worship team. They should not be singing.
That's me. That is absolutely me. You don't want to be on the worship team. If I'm on the worship team, you better be running because we're at the wrong church.
I think I sound pretty good, Jesus. I think Jesus like the way I sound.
That's right. I tell you what, the one that is something that you just said there that I do think is really important. And someone told me this a long time ago. Man, I'm a yes man. Mm. I want to be a people pleaser, and especially in the kingdom. Oh, you need someone to help out with this. Oh, you need someone to help out with that. Oh, you need someone to do this. You need someone to do that. Oh, sure, I can.
Yeah.
But man, what we have to understand is we can only if we're doing 7 things, we can only do them all mediocre at best. Mm. And what we don't realize is us being a yes man sometimes is actually the enemy being successful.
Wow.
Because what we're doing is, you kind of said it a minute ago, we're hindering someone from doing what God's called them to do. Yeah. Because they might not be willing to step up and say, I'll do it first. And we're just so quickly saying yes that we're getting strung out and we're getting burned out. And all of a sudden, we're going to one day wake up and be like, I'm not going to church anymore. Man, they are using me. And we don't realize that we allowed it. Mm. We have allowed it because we said yes, but then all of a sudden there's 3 other people that aren't living their calling because we took what God was calling them to do because we felt like that we were the ones that had to do everything. Mm. And so I think that it's a really tough way to play. I'm not saying don't serve. I'm not saying don't have wants to help and grow and this, that, but also be careful. We should steward our time like Christ loves the church. Yeah. And we just can't do, I run an insurance agency. I couldn't go open up a media studio tomorrow and then go have a restaurant and something else. There's no way that I can be successful at all of those. But man, when we focus on what we do, we're blessed.
Yeah.
But if I were doing it 6 different ways, it wouldn't be possible. So why do we think it'd be anywhere in the most important spot of all, the church? And so that's something that I think that really, you really hit on and I want to bring to life is quit saying yes. Sometimes you gotta stop and just be where God's called you to be right now in this season.
Yeah, that's good. One thing that's my word for the year is rest, which is very. I feel like it's the new patience. But how do you find rest with being involved in church and also running this business? Because you're the guy. How do you find time to just relax and rest and get that energy back?
But with a newborn, I would tell you that rest is not a word.
Congratulations on the newborn.
Bad time to ask, right? I know, rest is very far from it. But, I just think it's just having I didn't get into business to hate what I do. We don't go to church because we hate Jesus. Mm-hmm. We don't have families because we hate community. I think that so often we want to look at everything that's going wrong instead of focus on what's going right. I was listening to something earlier, and it was talking about how we never, I don't want to say we run out of time, but we never run out of mental capacity when it's something that energizes us.
Yeah.
And so I would just say the focus for rest to me needs to more be stay fueled. Mm-hmm. You need to have some me time, some things that, but also be careful with that because your habits are 60%, science says 60% of what you've done today, you're going to do tomorrow because it's habits. The 1% affects the rest of the 99. Wow. And so the truth is that what you need to do if you want to live the best life, if you want to be rested, you need to be focused. You need to be obedient. You need to be dialed in because those athletes that are accomplishing things in the Olympics, the reason they get there and the reason they enjoy it, they actually enjoy what they do, is because they're living in the details. And when you're there, the enjoyment flows because your body is actually living for what it's called to do as opposed to going through the motions. A lot of times we get so down, and I'm speaking to myself because we'll put crap in our body and crap in, crap out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're not taking care of this vessel that God's given us. How would we ever expect to feel abundance if we're living in crap? You know what I mean? And so I think rest is an important word, but I don't think that resting will get you rested. I think investing will get you rested. And investing in yourself, investing in enjoyment, but also things that are going to push you. Because if you want to get better, anything that pushes you, when you feel that little bit of a growth, that's what pushes you to continue. Whether that's in your scripture, when your quiet time is allowing God to push you, whether it's your friends, being around people that calls you to invest in yourself instead of people that are causing you to regress in yourself, that's huge. The people that you spend your time with, man, I'm telling you, I can look at a group of people and tell you who the people you spend time with, that's who you're going to become. And I'm telling you, whoever's looking at this camera right now, whoever's on the other side of it, look at who you're spending time with. Are these people pulling things out of you, or are they investing into the relationship? And if they're not investing into it, you need to find a new circle. And I'm not saying just cut people off. There need to be people you pour into, but you need to choose to be around people that are calling you to better.
Yeah.
Because that's the big thing with our new agency. You know, we're a baby agency, but yeah, God has blessed us. I mean, we've been in the insurance journal twice in the past 3 months. Like, man, He's just blessed our 7-month-old agency with just abundance. And the thing is they'll tell me, Jeremy, you're crushing it. I don't realize I'm crushing it because what I did when I got into this independent side of the street, I'll put this down real quick. When I got into this side of the street, I went and found agencies that love Jesus, that are crushing it all across America. And what did I do? I spent time with them. I ask what they're doing, how they're doing. I keep up with them. I have community with them. And guess what? I'm way behind them. Wow. So I'm literally just trying to see the dust in the way up the street and trying to say, okay, I think I can see that's where they're at. So let me keep going this way. And now there's a few people back here. And there's a few people right here that I'm hanging out with too because I'm investing in these people just like these guys are investing in me. And I have some people that we're doing community together because we're in the same spot. You know, but it's so important that you put yourself in those situations because if somebody's way over here and you're supposed to be here, you don't need to be getting pulled in this direction. Yeah. And so sometimes we have to understand that there's people in our lives that we want for selfish reasons to be there, but it's just not what God's called to be. And you have to be okay with that. And that is tough, but it's reality.
You talked about people living in the details, which really stuck out to me. I used to be a big picture person, very big, you know, and one day somebody told me God is in the details. God is in those small moments because all those small moments work together to push things forward. And that was a really profound statement.
Oh man, that was exactly what you said. I mean, absolutely. I mean, God is details.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a reason. I mean, you think about our body. You think about, when you really break it down, how I was looking at my baby the other day, I said, how does this become an adult? Like, how did I have anything to do with this being here right now? You know, like, and man, it just gives all that beauty back to God. And whenever I could be saying, man, I'm not being able to sleep, and I'm mad about it. And gosh, I literally added a $300 bill to my household because these diapers ain't cheap. You know what I mean? Like, I could be focused on, or I can focus on, wow, look at this beautiful gift. Yeah. And they're both true. I mean, think about it. My bills go going up. I don't sleep. But if my posture is focused, once again, that's over here. If I'm focused over here and I'm not focused right here, then guess what? I'm going in a direction that God's not going to be glorified from.
Yeah.
And that is, to me, is like, they're all going to come. It's like rocks being thrown at you. Just let them be thrown and just keep going, because at the end of the day, luckily we know the finish. We know the end of the story.
That's right.
And we just need to keep going towards that, because we know that's the only thing that truly matters, And so that would be my biggest thing that I would say.
That's a decision, Mm-hmm. You can make it as big as you want, but all you gotta do is just decide to do something different.
Yeah.
You gotta just decide to put yourself out there and to be mentored. And one thing that you can find is when you're talking with other people, you can be a blessing to somebody else.
Absolutely.
Because we get in this place where we feel like we're the only person that goes through a certain thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't put yourself around other people who are like-minded, who are trying to get to the same goal, then you'll just be thinking that you're the only person. But you can also bless other people by telling them your experience and becoming vulnerable.
Absolutely. I mean, a buddy of mine was telling me the other day, I jokingly tell everybody I put on a lot of gray hair, 30 pounds for you, not me, because I used to sell one carrier and all I did was shake hands and kiss babies, joking, and like I had the easiest job.
Yeah.
It was great. I had a great company I worked for. There's no reason I should have left, but I really felt like God was calling me to more. But when I went to this agency, I went from working out every day to saying, no, I've got to focus on my work. I've got to focus on feeding my children. And I stopped taking care of my body. And now 2.5 years later, 30 pounds have come on me. And because I've stopped taking care of myself, that 1% of, hey, I'm not going to go to the gym today, I'm going to take a month off and focus on the work and I'll get back into it, became 2.5 years.
Wow.
But 2 years before that, it became, I'm going to take care of myself. And then to that point, I had lost 30 pounds. And now I just so happened to find it again. It was the one, I want to find my keys, I found the pants. You know what I mean? Like, come on, find the wrong things. So for me right now, where I'm speaking to myself in this is, business, we're great. We're doing wonderful. God is blessing it. Friendship, involvement in my local church. God, man, everything's going beautiful, but it doesn't matter if I die tomorrow because I'm not taking care of myself.
Come on.
And so that's where I am. I had a guy at church tell me yesterday, and I love him to death, and he just said, Jeremy, nothing matters if you died tomorrow because you weren't taking care of yourself. And that's what I'm saying right here is, I'm telling myself, man, you've got to take care of yourself. Mm-hmm. You can't accomplish what you feel like God is calling you to do if you're not here tomorrow.
But it's so good that you say that, because funny story, I got on this scale last week and I swear it was broken. I swear that scale was broken. I used to go back to the manufacturer and recall every scale that was broken.
That's right.
Because it said I was 240. And I was like, no. Yeah. I'm like 195. But because of that, I went out to lunch today with my brother and my mom. And there was so many options on the menu. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have some vegetables and a salad. Like I didn't decide to get the carby stuff.
That's right. Yeah.
But I find it, I don't know, it's all that discipline, because it seems kind of hard for me to eat better.
Yeah.
But it's really just because it just tastes better.
Isn't it crazy too that like we are literally in control of what goes in our mouth?
Yeah.
I mean, we are in complete control of it, but yet, what do? I mean, and that's what I was telling you about the whole habits thing. There's so many times that you go to that cabinet in the pantry and you don't even really remember it, if we're being honest, and you just got something, and it's because you've traded stuff. I remember when I had lost 25 pounds, and I would drop by and be like, man, I remember when I used to go to that Taco Bell on my way home, and I'd probably have 2,000 calories on my way home, and then a couple hours later we'd eat dinner. And I was like, I cannot believe I did that. But now here I am again. You know what I mean? Like, and so it's so funny when we get our mind right, how God shows us, man, why was I doing that? Mm-hmm. But then so quickly again, we can find ourselves back in a rut. And so I think it's that 1%.
Yeah.
If you focus on the 1%, what can I do every day to get 1% better? Man, I'm telling you, the life is in front of you and the best days are ahead of you. If you can just focus on taking care of what God's gifted you with, because it allows you to see life from a new angle, a new perspective, how God designed you to be, because you're looking ahead. Exactly. You're looking here instead of looking here. And like I said, there's going to be things that pull you. I'm not saying that it's not going to happen, but if you can constantly just keep saying, I'm going to go forward. I'm going to go forward. I'm going to go forward. I'm telling you, man, life is just such a beautiful thing when you choose to believe it is.
Like you said, it's not even about just doing what everybody's doing. It's not about anything like that. It's about enjoying life and living longer not even living longer for yourself, but living longer for your family too. Like so that your kids can see you grow up, so that you can see great grandkids and things, and you just feel better. You know, I've been working out. I've been working out every day for the past like 3 months. It's like kicking my butt, kicking my butt. But you know, it's necessary. It's necessary to be better. It's necessary so that I can actually be able to play with my kids. You know, I don't have them now, so I'm getting older.
Speaking to the future,
I'm gonna have kids. It's gonna happen. There's no choice.
That's right.
There's absolutely no choice. God's already told me. You know when He speaks something to you, and you're like, "Hey, I'm ready for that. I'm ready for that. I'm ready."
Sure. I don't think we're ever ready. If you wait until you're ready, then you are having kids. You just gotta dive in. Ain't no need to be ready. So, I promise you, the moment you're prepared, He's about to show you how unprepared you really are. So I don't pray for don't pray for readiness when it comes to having children. Just dive in.
Dive in.
I mean, obviously the right way.
Yeah, the right way. We'll just
pursue a godly woman, get married, have some children,
right.
and then show them the right way to do it.
That's right. So can you tell us more about your business? We've talked about it a lot, but can you tell us more about exactly what you do?
Yeah. So we are an independent insurance agency. So we've been blessed the past 2 years to win Agent of the Year and Agency, and all of a sudden, and I tell everybody, we're not a you come here for everything. We're your auto, your home, your toys, and your life insurance. We do a little bit of business. It's not our expertise. We don't mess with health insurance at all. I know somebody for that. So I put myself around other experts because I don't want you to come to me and I know a little bit about everything because then I'm only going to be a little bit of help. I'm a super nerd when it comes to your auto and your home and just making sure that you're protected. And that just means a lot to me. And really the motive of our business is that we're going to focus on people. We are a community-focused organization that just happens to sell insurance. Because everything that we do, we want to infect our community. That's a weird word to use in today's times, even though it seems like we're on the way out of COVID, but we want to infect our community with love. And so we send out a lot of cards, we send out a lot of stuff, and to people that aren't even customers, we want to use this platform that God's given us to just love people. And man, to the tune of we're not even 3 years old and almost 200 5-star Google reviews. Like what we do really means a lot to us. And that's why I tell my team is that we are going to educate people. We are educators. We are going to help you better understand how to be protected from the crazy people outside of this door. And so that's what we do. And man, we love it. I never grew up saying, man, I want to sell insurance. You know what I mean? I think if you ever did, then you should seek help. But the thing is when you learn it, 11, 12, how many ever years I am in now, when you realize that we really are superheroes and that we take something so boring and we make it this much fun and we help somebody through a difficult time when it comes, man, it really is just such a special moment that God will allow us to partner with someone to protect them when all hell breaks loose on earth.
That is such an amazing business strategy. Instead of like, all right, the end goal is to make money. Instead, the end goal is to put God out there and to love everybody that we come in contact with, and then God supplies everything else because he's a provider. That's what He does.
But I'll tell you what, if you focus on the people, they will produce more people, and the people have the money. I mean, money is a byproduct of loving people. But if you focus on the money, it's all going to fall apart. And so our goal, I tell my guys, I don't ever want to hear, I'm trying to make this sales quote, I'm trying to do this, I sold this much. When I interview somebody, what is something that you've done? What's your best industry, what's something that's happened that it just really stands out to you? If you say, I sold X and I can already tell you that's not the posture that we're looking for. I want a personality. I cannot teach you ethics and morals and personality. I can teach you insurance because I can do it. If I can do it, anyone can do it. I'm just telling you that much right now. But I cannot teach you how to care about people. I'm so blessed that God gave me a heart of compassion. And honestly, I was really an introvert before I met Jesus. I mean, and growing up, I was born premature. I was always behind. I remember in gym class, I was always so scared because I could barely lift as much as the ladies. Not saying anything about, there's some strong ladies out there, so I'm not trying to say anything about, but typically at that age group, boys are a little more developed. They're not developed up here, but they're a little more developed right here. And so I'm way down. I'm always way behind. I'm a year and a half behind developmentally because of being prematurely born. So, I didn't blossom until my senior year in high school. I'm one of those people that walked in and thought I was a new student. Wow. Like who is this person? And so ultimately, I spent a lot of my life really balled up, like really just in myself and in my feelings of why me, why this, why that, why, but God, when I met Jesus on August the 8th of 2010, I want to say 8/8/10 is my day. When I met Jesus, then ultimately that's whenever I really realized what he was calling me to do and the personality that he really brought to life in me that day. And that's what we're using. And that's why, like I told you, we were talking about before this podcast started about, I was in the medical field. Mm-hmm. And it just didn't work for me. Something wasn't right because I couldn't love people. And so thank goodness that I got out of that. Because now I own this business. I'm in control of how we operate. Mm-hmm. And if it is not steered towards, once again, you've got here, and you've got there. This company's offering us all this commission. This company's offering us these shady policies, but they're cheap. We're not focused on it. We're focused on loving people and whatever's in front of us, we're going to work with. Because this is our mission, this is our vision, this is our goal, and this is when I go to sleep at night, what I get to know that my business stands for. And that means a lot to me. In a world where everyone's focused on the profit, that's why we have a podcast, and not to speak about it here, but God's called me into that, and I've never had the time, but he really put on my heart this year's the year, and we have a podcast coming out, and it's called Purpose Over Profits. Right. And it's we're going to be getting with local business leaders who are that's their focus. They're focused on the purpose, and the profits follow. It's not that profits aren't important. Yeah. Like no one gets into business and say, hey, I want to be broke. Exactly. Let's just be honest. But the thing is the profits are a byproduct of the purpose. And so that, man, is just really what inspires me and what fires me up. And that's why I love to put myself around other people that are living that life like you guys, people that I can walk out of that conversation and say, hey, let's go. Not feeling drained, but feeling like, man, it's time to go home. I'm ready to, let's go. Let's hop on that phone. Let's make it happen. And man, that's what we'll do. And it's just a blessing that God just brings people to our doors. And guess what? Some of them might be Hindi. Mm-hmm. Some of them might be Buddhist. Mm-hmm. Some of them might be agnostic. Whatever it may be, guess what? When they choose to do business with us because we love on them and we treat them well and we tithe on what our business makes, that's money going to the kingdom that would have never made it had God not allowed us to create this vessel to do it. And so I know people that say, oh, people don't think like me, people don't this, I would never work with it. I'm like, man, if I can make their money go towards what we're after, okay. Like, why wouldn't I love on them? Why wouldn't I? I'm not sitting here saying, I'm going to their worship ceremonies, this, that, and the other. I'm just being a loving, compassionate human being that they choose to do business with. And then all because we've done business together, some of that profit they would have never chose to spend there is going into the local church. And that, to me, is a beautiful thing.
That is so beautiful. So beautiful. Well, is there anything else that you want to say to the listeners of the Pathway to Purpose podcast?
I would say that if you're listening to this, that you care. You care about growth. You care about being surrounded by people that are going to call you to do better. And that's what I would just ask you to do is just to take a chance. When you go into halftime, the coach doesn't say, everybody hit the shower, it's got some fun, go down to the burger joint and then meet me back here in 45 minutes. You evaluate. You look at where you are right now and say, hey, man, they were kicking our butts here. We were doing this really well. What is our game plan for the second half? Take a minute. Breathe. Be intentional about saying, hey, what do I want out of life? What do I want selfishly, but what do I want selflessly? And then mirror those together, because it's okay to have wants for yourself, but it's really, really, really okay to have selfless compassion, because a gift that is given feels better on your soul than a gift that you receive. The only gift that we receive that will mean everything is a gift of salvation. But man, when you give something freely, it's incredible. So I would just ask you, look at who you're spending your time with. Look at the content that you're putting into your headspace and consume more of it like this, especially ones without me on it. And just really say, hey, like, if I do this, if I can focus on the 1%, if I can say, okay, over the next 3 months, what is the thing I'm going to do 1% better every day? And you focus on that, be intentional about writing down, what are you going through right now? Come back and revisit it in 90 days, and I promise you're going to say, wow, the investment in myself paid way more than Dogecoin did at the beginning of 2020. The investment in myself has caused infection to go through in a good, positive way in other people's lives, all because I'm being intentional about being a steward of what God's given me. And so that's all I would say. And if you don't know Jesus, know him. That's the only thing I'd say. If you don't know him, then like it's literally the focus of everything that we're talking about here. And so if you don't know him, you're not going anywhere. You're literally in a car with no wheels, no gas, no nothing. And so I would just say that if you don't know him, then just know him, accept him into your heart, and watch him blow your wildest dreams. And that's all I'd say.
Let's go. Jeremy Powers, thank you so much for coming on, man.
It's been amazing. It's been great.
Thank you for listening to the Pathway to Purpose podcast. Being able to create a platform for someone to tell their story and also a place for someone to hear it is extremely important to me. I hope you heard something that helps you grow and something that you can pass on to somebody else. Stay tuned for the next episode and check out the Pathway to Purpose Instagram and Facebook to see inspirational quotes to help you on your journey. I also want to give a big shout out to my whole team at Scott Young Media Group for making this podcast possible. Be blessed, everyone.